my activity this morning is going to be at least somewhat related upon that. So it'll just run. So let's say you've run 10 or 20, whatever number. It will run whatever the next interval is. So if you have it set to run 10, it'll just pull the next 10 in the list. Now, the more you use the app, in other words, the more you pull, the more information and leads you're running, the more the numbers won't match up. And what I mean by that is, what I'm finding is if I pull, like Mechanicsburg has a couple of different zip codes. And if I pull 17055 landlord buyers, but I've already pulled cash buyers in 17050, there is some overlap there. So you may run 10, but only get back 7.
So meaning that they're in more than one deck.
Correct. So they're already in another deck. So they would have already shown up, and you would have already
adding a way to show that. As in tag that it matches with another deck, so that you know that you can hit that person. Let's say for me, I've got an Ackworth deck and I got a Kennesaw deck because different zip codes. If those buyers go in between them, it'd be helpful to know. Yes.
I spoke with Sean last week about this, and he said he was going to be able to let you move this. If you pull the same criteria and you get 2 decks of it, you can move the cards from one deck to the other deck. That way you don't have a bunch of the same pull.
But how do you know that they're in that other deck?
Well,
and maybe it's already in there. I don't know.
Well, like I was expecting to get 10 or 12 results. I got 1 because I had already pulled the deck, and I knew something's off because it told me there was a bunch of them, and I had already pulled the deck once, and most of them were in the other deck, and then I got 1 in the second pull.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to punt on this conversation until the 1 o'clock lab, if it's okay, because part of it is I don't even know how that's being handled with certainty. A, and B, there may be other suggestions that we can share that Sean can get to work on making those enhancements to it. But there's definitely something there, Campbell, to the fact that it would be very valuable to know that they're in the other deck, and maybe even, well, we'll think through and talk through that. I'm just thinking through in my head the different ways that could potentially be handled to make sure that you
with Sean as well. So yeah, let's work it out, because I was like, oh, let's have some tags so we could see which decks they possibly are. But we'll figure that out on the
totally.
Yeah.
So for any of you that know me for any length of time, I'm a huge Alex Hormozy fan. Well, his wife Layla is a powerhouse as well, and I just grabbed this because it relates to some of the wins that I'm going to share, not to brag, but to connect some dots for people potentially, and to give you like very actionable, tangible things that you can do this week to generate or create more conversation opportunities, so you can write more contracts and close more deals. Repetition beats luck. Outwork your odds. Repetition beats luck. Here's what I've also found is the more work you do, the more lucky you tend to be. Example, yesterday, there was no, we had no closers cafe. My kids were off running around, etc. But I did some work. I had some, time blocks, in particular, to work on 2 deals that I had and wanted to do outreach following my 3-step blueprint. I had deals to use as bait, so I'm going to reach out to active buyers. 2 small decks. Okay, so small decks of buyers. One was 7, one was 6. The very first one on one of the decks not only was interested, but told me to send him the contract. Now, there was, a little bit of back and forth, but I'd never met this person before. I sent him the info I had. It was an off-market. In this case, it was an off-market 10-unit property that one of the agents on my local team brought me And long story short, the seller, we got to wait till later in the week to finalize it, because this, that, and the other thing, like I won't get into the weeds there. But the point is, some might say that I got lucky. The first one I reached out to was ready, willing, and able. And also I know that like there are other days where it takes me 5, 10, 15, and sometimes, I don't know, not very often, but sometimes I strike out like nothing for a whole deck of 10 or 12 or 15. But doing it enough times over and over and over, I get lucky more often than not. The other deck, I had a deck of 6 cash buyers in a specific zip code that I was reaching out about a for sale by owner fixer upper. 2 of them said, yeah, I'm interested. Send me the details. And I need to follow up with both of them today. So you could say that I'm lucky, or that, A, we've got a pretty cool tool that makes some of this easier and it allows you to be more effective and efficient. But B, I do the work, more often than not. So it also made me think of this. Money follows speed and time kills all deals. Money follows speed and time kills all deals. The reason I'm weaving this piece in is Eric on my local team. He brought me the 10 unit. I think he told me late Friday that, hey, let's try and find a buyer. It sounds like this thing is available again, because she was negotiating with another buyer and that buyer hasn't performed. So basically what she has is an expired contract. And she's pushing us off for a couple of days because they're still trying to work it out. But Eric said, hey, let's try and find a buyer. And part of me was thinking, well, it's Friday afternoon and it's a long weekend and this, that, and the other thing. So I didn't really do anything Friday with the information. And then, I had some free time. We're running the kids around on Saturday. So I was like, I'll at least reach out to a couple of the contacts that I don't think would be interested, but they might know someone who would be interested. One of which is someone that I've referenced a number of times on here, and I've told this story a number of times on here. A guy that I've become pretty good buddies with, even though I've never met him in person as of yet. And we've closed multiple transactions. His name is Bryce. So I figured, and I know that Bryce is responsive on the weekends because he's called me on Saturdays before. So I was figuring, whatever, I'll give it a shot. So I send him this simple text message. Hey, Bryce, who do you know that might be interested in a 10 unit in New Oxford? Okay. Specifics, I can ask around. Is it listed? Blah, blah, blah. So he comes back to me Sunday morning, says, I sent the info to someone in that area. They have your number and will be contacting you, blah, blah, blah. That person contacts me yesterday morning. Her name is Amy. She said, hey, Bryce shared the info. I shared it with a guy, a husband and wife that are absolutely interested. I talked to that guy. He sends me an LOI. So on this deal from Friday afternoon, between Friday afternoon and yesterday at noon, I had 2 people, one an actual LOI and another one say, send me the contract. Here are my terms. I want to buy this place. This is $1 million deal. I'm a little under $1 million. I could have waited until today, but I had the time and I knew where to get started with it. And, I ended up getting quote unquote lucky, because I was applying this concept. Money follows speed and time kills all deals. Now, I hope time doesn't kill this deal, because now we have to wait for the seller, because she told him Friday, this deal's done. The buyer didn't perform. His contract's expired. And then he calls back yesterday and she's like, well, I'm going to give him till the end of the week. So we'll see what happens. But what I have regardless, which is another meta lesson or whatever with the 3-step blueprint that I have been just talking about over and over and over, is I now have 2 more people who I know what their buy box is, and I know they can perform because I can see their portfolio. That whether or not it's that 10 unit or not, I can go and source them on market or off market deals. And in fact, that's step 4 today. If I have time, that's the 4th thing on my list today. If I have time, because I have a settlement at 11:30 and I don't have to go, but I kind of want to go. Because I really like this investor. And this is one that it took some persistence. It's a bank owned property and we just kept resubmitting the offer. We just wore them down, and then we'd lower it and then we'd raise it a little bit, and they were it was cat and mouse, and then the listing agent was even shocked because they ended up accepting an offer that was lower than what he had told me was lower than what he had given me, like, hey, this time around I'll go to this, I just want it to be done, and we were able to get it for 5,000 less than what he had said, like, this is my max. So, and I will most likely be listing this one in the spring. He might keep it in his portfolio, but he's most likely going to list it. So anyway, it's worth my while to go to that one. So small window. I already shared some weekend wins. I want to share another story, and then I'm going to get to using the tool, doing some outreach. But I'm going to tee up a perspective or a sort of a mindset shift that I don't know, that I shared yesterday on a Zoom that I thought might be helpful. So I got an email. Some of you on here got emails about the Founders Club closing down, the Lead Deck Founders Club, and I got an email over the weekend. Somebody really wanted to join, but they were struggling. You know, they were really struggling with business, and I genuinely want to help people. So I asked her, like, what's going on? What have you done? What's, you know, and she was focusing all the things that weren't working. Okay. And there's a lesson in that, right? Like, what you focus on expands. So she's crying the blues of what's not working. And something in there, she mentioned something in there that got me thinking, like, how can I apply this 3-step blueprint to her scenario and give her a path that she could follow, a plan that she could follow to create some momentum, generate some opportunities, and maybe get her on a winning path, right? To help change her spirits, or et cetera. So she mentioned that she had an off-market property that she would be listing on the market at some point in the near future, but it just wasn't ready yet. Boom, we've got something. Now, I didn't know for sure that we had something. So I asked, is there any way that this would work or fit for an investor? And she said, well, if you can't tell, I'm still kicking off the rust from the weekend. I'm still finding my sea legs here to be effective and efficient with my communication. So she said something to the effect, as a matter of fact, that's the word I was looking for, or the phrase I was looking for. As a matter of fact, I think there's an opportunity to subdivide some of the land that the property is on, and either keep the home as a rental property or flip the home and then also sell the buildable lots. So in other words, there was some way to turn this into a potential deal for real, not like, it's not a stretch or like, a pipe dream, let's say, but like a legitimate way that this could work for an investor. And so I recorded a little Loom demo video for her. I pulled up the cash buyers, the vacant land buyers, and the active landlord buyers, because there's a situation where all of those potentially could be interested. And I said, hey, this is what I would do if I were you and in your situation. I would spend the entire week going through these 3 buckets and letting them know about this off-market deal you have. And not care one bit if any of them actually want to buy that deal. Because if you do that work, those conversations will uncover other opportunities for you. So A, you're doing work that will benefit that client, or could benefit that client. There's no guarantee, but it could benefit that client. A. B, you're going to uncover other opportunities for you in that process. Yeah, that's not the kind of deal I'm looking for. This is really what I'm looking for. And 3, even if it doesn't benefit the client, in other words, none of them are interested, you can go back to that client and say, just so you know, I know we're not ready to get it all actively on the market yet, but just so you know, I spent the whole week reaching out to this many different potential buyers for the property because I want to leave no stone unturned in helping you get this thing sold and getting you the desired end result. So, and she genuinely replied and said, I had not thought of doing that. That hadn't even occurred to me. So just changing the way you look at things, change the way things look sometimes. And so it just took a different person's perspective on it to potentially create opportunity. Now, can I guarantee that from that work this 1 week, is she going to fill her pipeline with deals? Obviously not. But I do know with certainty, doing that will create more conversations and more potential deal flow than not. And B, if she does that enough times each week, you can't help but uncover deals. You can't help but find opportunity. It's, I just have, look, it's impossible. Talking to people is where the deals happen. Talking to people. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day that we have, because I'm going to have to jump off probably at the bottom of the hour. So I got about 40 minutes here. And I would encourage you all to work along as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to work through active landlord buyers for the listing that I have that went live last week. I have a real sense of urgency on this for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's my buddy. And as much as I would like to say, and I do actually do my very best for everyone, there's a little bit of extra pressure when it's my buddy and my neighbor, right? So like there's a little bit of extra, we gotta do everything humanly possible for this situation. So that's number one. Number two, once you put that thing active on the market, it's the clock's ticking, and days on market matter. So, the longer we're on the market, the less likely we are to sell for what we're asking. Number three, it looks like we have a blizzard coming this weekend. So, like, even more reason, if we can get an offer this week and be done with this thing, all the better, because it looks like the weekend may not be possible to have showings. So, I have already done some work on his behalf. I did this last week, Wednesday or Thursday, on the Closers Cafe, which, if you're watching this on the live stream, in the description, wherever you may be watching, are links. You can watch past the recordings or replays of the Closers Cafe. There's also a link that you can register and join us in the Zoom room. And there's some other resources in there that you can check out as well. So it was one of the days last week. I was working through this. I'll pull it up here. I was working through this list right here, the active landlord buyers. Okay, the active landlord buyers. And I've pulled 20 so far. I think only 13 or 17 are in the deck. So I've got 28 remaining, and I just want to pull them all because we're just gonna go. I'm just gonna rip through as many of these as I possibly can. So I'm gonna change the default to run 30 at once here because there's 28 left. It won't spend the 30 credits. It'll only pull back what it finds or what matches up. And then I'm just going to get to tapping to text and email. One thing I'll mention, yesterday when I was doing my outreach, because my kids were in the house and lots of stuff, I didn't even make any calls. I literally just tapped to text and email. I'm not suggesting you should only do that. I'm suggesting that instead of letting that being a limiting factor, I just figured I can do 2 out of the 3 outreach methods easily. So why not try it? And the guy that said, send me the contract, here are my terms. That literally the only communication happened via text on a 10 unit for just under $1 million. So that was a conversation. Didn't even have to be a phone conversation. All right, let's see. Looks like It looks like it pulled some more, but there might still be some left. Doesn't matter. We're gonna get to working through what's in there. So I'm gonna flip over. I'm gonna stop my screen share, and I'm gonna flip over to lead deck on the phone here. We've had a lot of people ask, like, this is not a proper app, meaning there's nothing to download in the App Store. You just log in to whatever your default browser is. That's it. So I'm going to go, I tapped Deal Deck at the top, right there. And I'm going to pull up the active landlord buyers for this, this zip code. This very first one, this is the last one they bought. This means, now I don't know if this person's going to be interested, but this is a brand new townhouse, or a near new townhouse, almost identical to mine. And when I hit view, what did he pay for that one? He owns 7 properties, almost entirely free and clear. And he paid $310 for that one. This is a little bit more than $310, but we've got a little bit more square footage. Ours has a garage. I don't think this one does. And I don't even know why I'm saying any of this. I don't care if this person actually wants to buy this property, because we're going to have a conversation and I'll find him one. If not, one thing I forgot to do before flipping over is I have to edit my outbound script, because yesterday I tweaked it for the properties I was reaching out for. I should have saved this one. Turnkey, like new townhome in 17055. Hey, it looks like you're a pretty active investor in the Mechanicsburg area. I'm just curious if you're looking for any deals right now. We have a turnkey, like new townhome in Legacy Park. Oh, no. Madison Court. Could be a good deal for the right investor, interested, or know somebody who might be. Let me know either way. I'm going to put Madison Park or Madison Court in here as well. And then looks like a pretty active investor in the Mechanicsburg area. And this is something we can do once, and then it makes it just infinitely easier because the email and text script are pre-populated. We have a turnkey, like new townhome in Madison Court. So we always got to make sure when we edit these that we save them. I forget. I think that happened twice last week. I forget myself. Okay. So now I need to refresh so that the saved scripts are populated. And what I'm going to do, this first number here is not on the DNC, so I tap to email, or I tap to text, and then I'm just going to call too, because why not?
Hi, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
Yeah, this is Josh Shanley with eXp Realty, and I was calling about a turnkey rental townhome in Madison Court. It's like one of those automated, like this is an automated receptionist. State your name and why you're calling.
Thanks, Josh Shanley. Please stay on the line.
She said my name back to be better than most people in real life say it. It was close. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close. My last name, that is. I mean, Josh is pretty easy, obviously.
I'm sorry, this person is not available. If you would like to leave an additional message, please reply after the tone.
Yeah, hey, this is Josh with eXp Realty. I know this call is a little bit out of the blue, but I was calling because it looks like you're a pretty active investor in the Mechanicsburg area. And we have a turnkey, pretty much like new townhome in Madison Court available. And I was curious if you're looking for any other deals right now, or maybe know anyone who might be interested. This is my direct cell phone, 717-571-0456. Thanks. I should have said, let me know either way. See, if you're not working directly off of a plan, or you're a little rusty, it can take a few to get back in the groove. So I'm going to tap to email.
Josh, while you're doing that,
Yeah.
where do we enter our business name for these templates? I've not found that yet.
What do you mean?
Okay, the outbound buyer script says on the text message, hi, first name, this is your name from company name. Where do we put our company name? I've not seen that in the profile for us to add. So every time it's going out, mine is blank. I have to erase it.
I don't put the merged fields. I literally just write it out. However,
I've already searched through there, so you're going to have to do it manually is what it boils down to.
well, I swear that was in there in the profile at some point. So that's easy enough to add back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put that for today to tell.
Yeah, totally. But it brings up a good point. So a couple of things of note here. So I just have this as Josh with eXp Realty versus the fact that I can put, so the placeholder that might be their company name. All of these things are good for 1 o'clock. Because that might be their company name. I'm not really sure. I put this in here because the only thing I'm ever editing is a couple of fields after this with the text message. And I'll say in the email body here, I don't have my signature because my phone, I have a saved signature on my phone. And so that pre-populates. If you don't have that or don't know how to do that, you could just put in here, I would just put Josh Shanley, line break, eXp Realty, line break, my cell phone, parentheses, call or text me, line break, office number, whatever. But I'll show how that pre-populates in here. And on an iPhone, where you edit that is just the mail settings. It's not the actual mail app, I don't think. I don't know that you can edit it from this icon. You have to go to your settings and search mail, and then you can edit it in there.
Josh and Campbell, the only place I found to add your company name is in the mailer section of the profile or settings.
Does that translate over into that field when you're texting from your phone?
I don't know yet. That may just be for if you're using Lead Deck to generate mailings instead of texts or phone calls.
I'm just going to do it manually. That's the easy way to solve that problem.
Yep.
So I'm going to the next one here. And this one's on the DNC, so I can't tap with the pre-populated. This is a buyer, and my choice is I'm still going to send it. I'm not recommending that you should or shouldn't or any recommendation whatsoever. I still got to get with Sean too. For some reason, sometimes I can toggle to the next deck in the cards, and sometimes I can't. I don't know why that is. This buyer, holy smokes, they own 53 properties, all free and clear. 53 properties, all free and clear. So, let's see here. I'm gonna paste that in. And this one has, so I can tell that the first email is not right. In fact, I don't see any emails that are clearly the actual owner, the first one listed. Whoops. So I'm going to run the enhanced skip trace and see if I get any other hits, especially with people that own this many properties. It is very likely, which happened, that we'll get more potential hits, and yet none of them seem to be his name. So win some, you lose some. This one is good enough. I might send this guy a letter. Hey, are you looking to buy any properties? Because he has enough that it might be worth doing. But we don't have time for that right now. So let me go to the next one here. This one, 17 properties. Tap to text is available. Not a blue text, but a cell phone number that nonetheless. Neither one. There was 2 mobile numbers that were live and active. This looks like it's probably, or there's a good likelihood that that is her actual email. And even this last one seems like it's a Gmail that might be business related. So I'm going to send to all 3 of those. So I texted 2 numbers and emailed 3 emails in a matter of, I don't know, well under a minute. Let's go to the next one here. John owns 7 properties. I can tap to text. I can tap to email. Looks like this is probably a good email. These other 2, most likely not, although there is an AOL that is his initials. And let's try and call John. Let's see what happens here. Nope. Subscriber not in service. Win some, lose some. Let's try. I'm going to try. Let me see here. What's his mailing address? Yeah, he's got a Boiling Springs mailing address, so I'm going to try and call his landline. It's ringing. But it's, now that I'm thinking about it, 610 would not be a Boiling Springs area code. It's just ringing. I'm going to go to the next. Let's see here. What do we got next? Christine. Christine owns 5, all free and clear. I would say that these emails don't look like they're great options. And the main, what was her name?
Hello. Robert, good morning. Campbell, hey, Campbell Realty. How are you, sir?
I love that Campbell is working alongside and not simply listening rather. What was her name? Jeez. Christine. Here we go. Oh, I'm gonna sending that message. I couldn't tell if Campbell, if that was a voicemail or if he got a real live person on the line there. I don't know if these other emails for Christine here are accurate, but it's easy enough to tap and send them. So let's see what we got next. Nader owns 15, has 5 million in equity. And I've got at least one cell phone that I can tap to. And it is a blue text, so that's good. I've got another cell phone here that also is blue. And you know what? I'm gonna send these emails, but I'm gonna try and call Nader here. These other emails don't seem to match up. So let's see if we can get a connection here.
Been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Look at this. Okay, this does happen. Not all the time, but I've mentioned this a couple of times last week, that you'll reach out and it's not them, but they know them. His number is that number. Now, was that the number that I also texted? It is. So let's call that number. That was one of the two numbers.
If you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person is available.
Yeah, hi, this is Josh with eXp Realty. I was calling about a turnkey rental we have available, townhome in Madison Court. Hello? Let me try and call again. Yeah, I don't know what this is. This something new that people can turn on? The hi, if you record your name and number, because I've actually talked to people. I've talked to a couple of people. Recently that didn't even know that was happening. They didn't even know. One of them was a real estate agent.
New update that they've done on the phones to try and filter out spam.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
If it's Ring Central, Ring Central has an AI receptionist.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, that is definitely his cell phone. Like that's an iPhone. The text was blue. So I don't know. I'm going to move on to Eli. Tap to text that. Oh. And tap to text that one. I should be weaving in more stories as we're doing this. So, I don't know if you all remember Sam, those of you that have been following along. Sam's the one with the giant house. Did I tell the story last week that he was like, he's not ready to list it, but he said, you know, find me a buyer. This is how much I'm looking for. And I actually have a guy it's a long shot, but he at least wants to check it out. It would be the highest residential sale in our association by like more than $1 million in ever. I'm not assuming anything. It's definitely a long shot at best, but if nothing else, I will demonstrate even more to Sam that, you know, I'm a hustler and I can make things happen. And I actually have to talk to him this afternoon about that, scheduling a time to take Mike through, and also some other deals that I've been sending him, including one of the for sale by owners that I spoke with early last week. Okay. So, man, this one has a lot of phone numbers, but they're all in the DNC. And a lot of them are landlines. So I'm gonna tap to email. The first two emails were very clearly work emails. Like as you're using this, use your judgment. So this person's name's Neftali Arroyo, and one of the emails is janine.lewis@gmail. That's very clearly not. That might be a tenant, right? Because skip tracing works, you know, especially the first layer of skip tracing. The first layer of skip tracing is address based. So that will happen sometimes where it's very obviously the, the tenant or a tenant of the owner. It might not even be the tenant at that property. There's any number of goofy things that could potentially happen. So as much as I'm like, just email all of them, if it's very clearly not the person you're trying to reach, it's most likely a waste of time. Now, if it's the same, if I can tell that it might be relation, a relative or something, then I'll still give it a go. Let's see here. What's this one? Well, I'm striking out this morning. Timothy Hoot and Julie Dries. But regardless, like I said, money, some days you get quote unquote lucky, and other days you gotta work a little harder. Here's another one. Okay, okay. Got two cell phones that are not on the DNC. If they're not Patrick, hopefully they point me in the right direction. And the emails. Oh, let's see here. Let's see. Elizabeth. Let's see about this one. Owns 5 properties. I may have to, what I may actually do next is I might pull cash buyers. The cash buyers, here's I'm kind of like a broken record on this. So if you've heard me say this before, but I love talking to them because many of them own successful businesses, some of them multiple successful businesses, or real estate is their business. So what does that mean about them? They're more likely to answer their phone. They're more likely to engage. They're more likely to have a conversation. They're also more likely to know other people. They know people that might be interested. So I'm going to work through a couple more here, and then I'm probably going to pivot, see what we can find cash buyer wise in this zip code to see if there might be any other opportunities on that front. The analogy I made yesterday, which I forgot to sort of connect the dots on, is especially when you're doing this on your own listing, it's kind of like reverse prospecting, but you're just going directly to the people. You know what I mean? Because if you pull the active buyers and the property fits their buy box at all, according to their other portfolio, it's really not that different than reaching out to the agents that have people that have saved search criteria. It's just you're going right to the, you're going right to the source. Let's see here. I already reached out. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, we got one reply so far. Better than nothing. 205 State Drive. I'll text you the MLS link in a minute. The seller is pretty motivated. He's owned it for a few years. It's always been a rental. He put in 3 or 4 grand before getting it back on the market, and it's in great shape. So what I'll do, somebody on this live stream, on one of these live streams, actually shared this with me. Well, actually, this is my listing. So it's easy to pull the link, the MLS link to your listing in Bright anyway. But somebody, I think it was on one of these. It was on something, one of the, I don't know, many Zooms that I do every week. Somebody had shared a way that you can grab the direct link, even if it's not yours. Whoops. So if that's helpful, I would imagine any matrix-based MLS would be the same way. So I'm not going to push, that was Eli. I'm not going to push Eli any farther on that for now, but I'll check back in later today or tomorrow morning to see, is this something you're interested? Because all I want is feedback. Yes, I'm interested. Let's go check it out. No, this isn't really what I'm looking for. Okay, great. What are you looking for? What can I go find you? Got it. My apologies. Period. That was someone saying wrong number. For those wondering, I don't know. I found this useful and I've used this a number of times recently, so I'll share it. If it's not your listing, if you go and pull up the specific property and you hit email and you hit preview, this is a direct link with your branding that you can then share, even if it's not your listing. Again, that only probably works if you're in a matrix-based system. But that's a faster way to pull that up. And I'm realizing I need to edit. Actually, I'm going to do this now since I have it open here. When we have an open house, I'll put right in the description, the open house, but I haven't taken it back out. So I'm going to do that now. The other thing that does, at least as it's been explained to me, is it like refreshes the feed. And so you could potentially get bumped back up to the top of the search results on portals by doing this. So I'm going to delete that, pull this all up to the top, and hit refresh. And I've already conditioned John, my client, or conditioned is probably the wrong word, but I've already planted the seed that, hey, I said, give me today and tomorrow, and then we should probably consider dropping it to 375 Thursday morning, which is what I really wanted to do in the first place. And there was a Wednesday or Thursday, I had a call, a seller that I've been working with that called, and we were going over pricing, and she was pushing back on that. I maybe could have or should have been a little more firm with John on the pricing on this. We might have had more activity if I was, in particular because that 375 price bracket could open up more, buyers that they're looking up to that 375. No guarantees, and it's hard to know with certainty. But we'll see. Hopefully we get something between now and having to make that decision. But if we do, I've at least had the preliminary conversation. Okay, this one owns 16.6 million in AVM equity anyway. Whoops, hold on here. I gotta copy this. What is this guy's name? Raza. Oops, dang it. It auto-corrected his name, but it's not correct. It auto-corrected to the wrong thing. But it's iPhone to iPhone, so I can edit it. If it wasn't an iPhone, if it was a green text, instead of editing it, I would have just sent another bubble that says asterisk and the correct spelling of it. This is definitely his email. First name dot last name at gmail.com. I mean, I guarantee this is his email. And I didn't show this earlier, but this is my pre-populated email signature that pops up on all. Do not do this with text messages. You can put that in I think you can save that also as a text message. Don't do it, people. It just screams spam, scammy, whatever, right? You're trying to create a conversation. This is natural in email. That has never been natural in text messaging, ever. Don't do it. I say that because I get text messages every week from other real estate agents, and it has their email signature file in their text. Silliness. There's two more emails here. I don't even know why I'm tapping these other ones, because that definitely is his email. I guess because it's easy. You know what? Why am I not calling Raza? This guy owns 43 properties. Hold on here. Oh, I'll tap to, here we go. Call failed. What's going on here? It's a blue text. How would it call fail? There we go. Raza, good morning. This is Josh with eXp Realty. How are you this morning? Hey, this is very transparently a business call and a cold call nonetheless, but it looks like you are a pretty active investor in the Mechanicsburg area, and we've got a yep. Well, that is rare, but I got a not interested, thank you. And also, I still texted and emailed him already. So it happens. He may be having a rough day, but he owns 43 properties. So there's something there, and who cares next?
You're one step closer to a yes.
That's
with every
right.
dial you make.
That's right. All right. So
Josh, coming from a background that I did door-to-door sales at 16 years old, you're immune to people saying no.
I mean, you know, yeah, it's just part of the deal, right? I mean, it's easier said than done. But I have enough proof that there are plenty of yeses out there, that it's not like, I'm not wondering, does this work? Will this work? Can I get to the yes? It's just a matter of time. And honestly, my hook in that was terrible, if I'm being honest. Like I could have definitely handled that differently or better. I'm trying to think of why I know this guy. How do I know this guy? Who cares? Let me just call him. Time is 10:25 already. Jeez, time flies when you're having fun.
We're sorry, you have reached the number that has been.
Hello.
How's that, Harry?
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
This is Josh with eXp. We've chatted before, but I can't remember why or when. But I was giving you a quick call. This is a long shot, but we've got a turnkey rental in Madison Court, and we're just reaching out to see if you or anyone you know might be interested.
Where's Madison Court?
That's Legacy Park in Mechanicsburg Borough, the community there with where Wolf Brewing is, and the Luna and the cafe.
What's the nature of the rental?
Well, so he bought it new in 2022 maybe, and it's been a rental. The tenant vacated in December. He paid to get it turnkey and in great shape again for either a retail buyer or somebody that wanted to buy it and get his tenant back in there.
Well, I would be interested in getting more of the details.
Okay.
Just coincidentally, I'm looking to do a 1031.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fairly soon.
Okay.
I've got 2 million now sitting in cash, but I have $1.2 million coming in another tax deferred that I'm doing. So
Okay.
it's mainly that 1.2 that I'm looking to place for sure.
Okay.
But I could go up to 3.2 on like a cash basis.
Okay.
So I'd like to get the details on that.
Sure. What would be the best way for me to send it? Would you prefer email, text?
Probably. I'm in Jamaica right now.
Oh, good for you. It's a lot warmer there than it is here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the forecast and thinking, man, we're supposed to go back to Saturday.
Ooh, you should stay there for another week, I think.
That's how it looks right. I think we're coming back. That'll be 10 days.
Okay.
10 days is enough. We always get it to get home anyway. But we
Gotcha.
do this every year. 10 days from it's in between my kids' birthdays. It's
Okay.
the 14th to the 24th. So if you ever want to know where I am between the 14th and 24th of January, now you know.
Right on. I'll make note of that. I'm going to save your contact and I'll make note of it.
I definitely must have had some contact with you in the past. I don't remember, but
Your name is familiar and the number is familiar, but I don't remember when we last. Okay. Sure, sure, sure. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Email? Would that, since you're in Jamaica? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Got it. I will get that over to you here this morning. What about have you designated any other properties for the exchange that you're looking at? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we sold to them. We settled on the first phase, and I've already placed that money on a tax deferred.
Okay.
We're settling on the second two phases here as soon as we get a HOP. We had a temporary HOP for phase one. We had to convert it to because if we had been doing the project, we'd have done it at a slower pace. Mercantile just blows through stuff.
Right, right.
So they wanted the permanent. So anyway, as soon as that comes in, I know we just had we had a turnaround on the application that end up with a couple of little things that the engineers working through. But anyway, we're anticipating maybe a couple of months to settle on this. That's probably when I'd be ready to move. Now, if this thing was attractive enough, I could probably do something. I would do something with it quicker. But
okay.
Ideally, I tell you, I missed a couple of years ago. I'd love to have bought it, the Texas Roadhouse there, opposite the Capital City Mall.
Yeah.
On the other side of 15.
That
was Campbell had it, and that was sold. And I actually did make an offer on it, and I assuming there were competing offers, but I don't know.
Okay.
But I missed out on it. But I know they were the list price was I think 1.8
Wow.
million, and I don't know what it because I went in at full price.
Okay.
But
huh.
Somebody made it a little sweeter.
I guess.
Yeah, and I think at the price I offered, I think that was paying just under 6%.
Oh wow.
So somebody might have thrown a number there, settled for a 5% return or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing that I always look for in a triple net is intrinsic value in the real estate as well as decent ROI.
Right.
But in that case, that had everything really. If I had another shot at it, I'd have settled for a 5% return and priced it accordingly, maybe gotten it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it had at the price and a 6% return that location, 2 acres. It was a good one.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, win some, you lose some. It looks like you've had plenty of wins over the years too.
Well, never enough.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that's that. Every time I have a little discussions with people, they say, well, how much money is enough? Like, what's enough? And the classic answer the guy told me was, because he asked somebody that question, what's enough? The guy said, a little more.
I thought you were going to say, I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Yeah, a little more. It's like, folks are having fun doing it too.
That's right.
That adds to it. Anyway, Jeff, thanks for the call.
Yeah. Hey, I'll get that over to you. Enjoy the rest of your stay there. And this is my cell phone, so I'll shoot you a text too. That way you have my contact info easy enough to save as well. Yep. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the call, Harry. Have fun down there, and hopefully we chat again soon.
Okay, thanks again.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that's going to be a good one for me to wrap up and knock out a couple of housekeeping items so I can get get off to my settlement. So he said, he answered because it said Josh, and he figured, well, it said Josh, so I must know who this is. This this guy is one of like the probably one of the more well-known developers and investors, builders, etc. in the area. His son now does a lot of new construction, etc. And I don't remember why or when or how I had talked with him before, but I am glad that I called because A, he's potentially interested. B, he needs to buy something because of a 1031 exchange. And he's got 1.2 in an exchange money coming that he needs to place. And he's got 2 million in cash he needs to place. 3.2 million. Now, he may have also, this actually is a feather in the cap of texting first, because all it said was maybe Josh. It didn't say like my full contact info or anything. And if you text first, it does increase the likelihood that it'll say that it'll, you know, when you call, it'll say maybe James or maybe Campbell or maybe Richard or whatever. I don't even know what else to save in here, but I'm saving his contact. I think he's in my bold trail, something. Because when he gave me the email, I also recognized the email. So somehow or another, I know him from something. So my process when this happens, number one, I save as a contact. I add note under the company. I will put. He's mostly Cumberland County. I'll put information there. I put his. He gave me his best email. And I don't have to wonder. He told me he wants information by email, and he gave me his best email. I told him that I would text him. Hey, Harry, period. Thanks for taking the call, period. Enjoy the warm weather down there, period. I'll email you info later this morning, period. And I'll share my full contact in a minute. I think EXP now has a partnership with Instacart, I think. And I wrote down to check that out, and I still haven't done it. But Instacart and Blink can be great, simple ways to share contact info. But for me right now, I just go to my own contact in my phone, and then I share my own contact so that they can save it. And especially if it's iPhone to iPhone, it makes it easy to share that. Okay.
Yeah, I set up a couple different cards too. You know, one personal, one EXP related.
Yeah.
I forget what the other one was, but just because I don't want to send the same info or some info to certain people, right?
I got a motivated sell, a cash offer request lead that came in, so I'm going to try and call that one. Keep getting call failed. What's going on with my phone this morning? I'm going to call that, and then I have one more housekeeping item before I wrap it up for the morning. Doesn't seem to be dialing. Well, I'm going to have to try and reach Paul later. So a couple more things that I wanted to share, enhancements for people on here who are in our Founders Club, or, you know, you're curious about Lead Deck and, you know, our commitment to continuing to innovate. If you go to, let me think this through. If you go to Deal Deck, you can import expired listings. And not only that, but, and I don't even know where this is. Right here. I think Sean will share this afternoon. I think if you hit the AI button, it will go and check to ensure that this property is not active or pending on portals. So even if because sometimes let's face it, you can go into your MLS, export the data, and the listing agent's trying to be cute or whatever, and they change the address. Like there's some things that could happen that would mean that you're getting data that is whatever. And I guess it's still not 100% foolproof or perfect, but we're doing everything possible to make sure that those that want to reach out to expired listings can do so with the confidence that we're doing everything we can to make sure that those are actually truly expired listings. They haven't been relisted or anything like that. And one of the reasons why I think that's valuable to share right now is we had 3 examples last week of people that the bait they were using for what we're calling a deal sprint. The bait they were using were expired listings, where they got in touch with the people and they said, we're not ready to relist it, but we would still sell it if you brought us an offer. That is wonderful bait. Off-market deals, off-market properties, that's the best thing. Like I did outreach this morning about an on-market listing. I can virtually guarantee you, if I had been including the language off-market in my messages, I would have had more responses by now. It's good either way, because it took me a half an hour to get to Harry. And Harry, I mean, I could do nothing the rest of the week except for look for deals for Harry, and it'll be a good week. Now, that's not what I'm going to stop at per se, but like, that's a pretty big win. And for those wondering, he's in Jamaica. He's coming back on Saturday. And I was like, you should probably stay because there was a blizzard coming on Sunday. It's going to be nicer there. Anyway, so that's one enhancement. This also works. So I just like to play around and do stuff. If you have a list that has addresses, you can import that. In other words, I found a list of larger multifamily, because the 10 unit yesterday, the seller was ready to sell. And then I have 2 people. I have a LOI and somebody else wanting to write a contract. And then she's like, give me a couple of days. I don't have a couple of days. I'm not going to wait. I'm impatient. So I went and found a list. And as long as it has the address, the full address, you can import the CSV file and make your own custom deal decks, seller lead decks, for lack of a better term. So you just import it under deal deck under the MLS import. All right. For our Founders Club members, the Zoom, our mastermind is at 1 Eastern. We'll start with wins. Sean will share enhancements. Campbell and Stephanie and maybe others have suggestions, etc. We'll dig into that. And then I have some tactical things that I'll share with folks who are interested. Also, last thing for now, this coming Monday, we're doing the first 3-day challenge, a deal sprint as a 3-day challenge. And I've been doing deal sprints Wednesday on our masterminds, but we're going to outline over 3 days the 3 steps and make it very tactical and actionable and break it down. Do this on Monday, do this on Tuesday, do this on Wednesday. Any Founders Club members, you can join the deal sprint for free. If you're not a Founders Club member, or you don't have any idea what Lead Deck is or anything like that, you can get an explanation at leaddeck.ai/deals. There's a sales letter, a letter that I put together, sales letter over the weekend that explains the idea behind the deal sprints and how you can participate if you're interested. It is a win your money back challenge, and it's intended to be fun and a little competitive and to get you into action and actually potentially pay you to learn and do deals. So you can check that out if you're interested. I need to head to a settlement so that I can then also be back in time for our mastermind. I will be back tomorrow as well. We have at least one participant for 11 a.m. tomorrow for the deal sprint. I think anyway, he had previously okayed that. But if you want to be a volunteer to do a deal sprint like Campbell and Dana did last week, and James and Stephanie did the week before, just reach out to me. My cell phone is at the bottom here, or you can DM me or email me, whatever's easiest for you. and let's all make it a great week.